Few teams have invested as much as the Houston Texans in the offensive line in recent years. Despite that, the play has not been good. Are you finally feeling good about the Texans offensive line? Plus, we compared a local coach / manager to a former Texans coach. Were we wrong? What was the man supposed to say? And the Stefon Diggs trade could be in the back burner when it comes to Houston. Let's go inside the locker room.
Yeah, it's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize.
It feels like we've been saying this for a long time. It feels like we've been saying this since the Texans even became an organization, the offensive line. It all starts with the offensive line. You go back to the David Carr days. David Carr, would he have been good had he had an offensive line? I kind of roll my eyes at that notion. I think David Carr was destined to not be a good quarterback. Deshaun Watson, the Deshaun Watson saves all butts. B.O.B., King, Bill, and Jack, they invest heavily in the offensive line. You have the Laramie Tunsil Hall, Titus Howard in the first round, Nick Martin in the second, make him one of the highest paid centers in the league. He gets praised because he's stealing equipment from the facility during the 2020 season. The offensive line for the Houston Texans has been the most polarizing position unit over the course of the entire franchise. And sometimes you find yourself in quarterback no man's land, and there's just nothing that you can really do to find a quarterback, or it's hard to find a wide receiver, or it's hard to find a position, a running back, whatever. But when it comes to the offensive line, they've invested heavily in it, and whether they've invested a lot, whether they haven't invested enough, the result has been somewhat similar for a number of reasons. We'll get to what the Rockets are thinking about doing, connect that to the Stefon Diggs trade. But on this offensive line, I'm simply going to ask the question, and this is a special time for the locker room. This will probably be the time during the season, time-ish, depending on when practice is. But last night, I'm not going to lie, I was acting an ass at Dave & Buster's. I was acting a fool with the family. Very much actually enjoyed the hell out of myself at Dave & Buster's, and just kind of, that slow news day type of vibe caught up to me. I do hope that you watched the hype video as well as the top 24 in the AFC South that was posted. Appreciate everyone for coming through. I'll get to your questions throughout. But do you feel good about the Texans offensive line? Me personally, I feel better. But based on the expectations that we have for this Texans team, and people are talking about them being the main contender to the Chiefs, the main threat. People are talking about Super Bowl. People are talking about dark horse. People are talking about CJ Stroud being elite. People are talking about top 3 offense. We heard Daniel Jeremiah throw that out there yesterday, which, by the way, they've never had a top 3 offense. They've only been top 10 in the 2 categories, scoring and yards 4 times, last time being 2012. So it's been a long, long time since we could even say this was a top 10 offense. If the Texans are going to reach the expectations with where they are right now, and it's not serviceable offensive line, it's not okay offensive line. If the Texans are going to reach that, if you're telling me that's going to happen, I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical about the Texans O-line when it comes to being elite. Laramie Tunsil, he's been banged up. We know that he's really, really good when he's out there. He was banged up, still had a good year last year. Titus Howard, I know that Titus Howard's going back to his natural position. How good was he at it? I think there's kind of a natural thought that Titus Howard, man, he's really, really good at right tackle. He's a good right tackle. He's paid like one of the better right tackles in the league right now. How good is he, though? I think that's a fair question to ask. The interior of that offensive line, Shaq Mason, he was really good last year. You never know how quick you can fall off. Sometimes you start to get hurt at this age. Juice Scruggs, they liked him. More investment right there. What's he going to play? Is he going to play center? Is he going to play guard? How good is he going to be? Last year, I think he deserves a lot of credit for starting out the season, getting hurt, and then coming in and being a serviceable offensive lineman. How good is he going to be? Kenyon Green, is he going to make the team? Quite frankly, I'm not expecting him to look like someone that validates a first-round pick. Is he going to make the team? And then these other guys that they got in the interior, how's that going to look? But as far as this offensive line and being elite, I'm skeptical. I'm not buying that stock. I've bought the stock before. Maybe it's PTSD where I assumed that they were going to get the return on investment with the offensive line. I'm just kind of not overly trustworthy. Twisted Mind 99, yo, Lock Dog. We have to trust the O-line. You already know the Jets have the blueprint to get CJ on Halloween. Okay, that's dark right there, my friend. Ryan says, I'm at the very least content with the offensive line. They will be serviceable. Rich Boy Jay Hay, shout out to you, my friend. I generally trust our O-line. They showed a lot of potential last year for being completely banged up. They did a good job. They did a good job as far as with how many injuries they had and all that. At times, Texans O-line has been good at protecting CJ, but what the outsiders are getting mistaken is Texans dealt with injuries all year long with the offensive line. That's true. But I also think a lot of times we assume, well, there were injuries, so these guys are going to come back and be good. We don't know about Kenyon Green. We don't know about Juice Scruggs. We don't know how really good Jared Patterson is. Titus Howard, I know he's been hurt. We don't know that it's been a while since he's played. He's coming off an injury. We don't know how good he is at right tackle. And Tunsil was banged up. So I think that I think that's true, but I also, how good are these guys when they get in there? CJ and Slowick will make the O-line's job easier. They should. Quarterback can definitely save butts when it comes to that. The reason for optimism when it comes to the O-line, it is the locker room, number one source for Texans digital content. I'm Landry Locker. Slow news days, although not really. We're gonna probably be doing this stream. Obviously, the nightly stream 10:30 is going to continue. There's going to be some other stuff going on in the next few weeks, but this will be the time. This is just kind of an experiment, getting this out of the way after a long night last night at Dave & Buster's. Reason for optimism with the offensive line: they're highly paid, which, as we know in the NFL and as we know in sports, might not mean a ton. There's more returning depth. And they've invested a lot. So you have that. Reason for pessimism, PTSD. You've trusted the offensive line before, and they've kind of hurt you. That might just be us being a little too close to the situation. Uncertainty. We don't know what the interior guys are going to do, specifically on the left side at guard and center. We don't know what it's going to look like. And availability. Injuries can be dismissed. Sometimes injuries can just be patterns. So there's concerns there. What other concerns do you have for the Texans? We've talked a lot about the good stuff with the Texans. There's a lot of really, really good hype. There's a lot of really, really good excitement. What other issues, concerns do you have with the Texans, with the 2024 Houston Texans? ID Almighty says, O-line is the one area I don't trust with the team. I think they overpaid to get some stability, but I hope they keep adding pieces every year to try out. They gotta perform this year. Screw every year. They gotta perform this year. My concerns, like if you're asking me my concerns for the Texans, number one would be secondary. And it has as much to do like with something. The crazy thing about Derek Stingley is, he's really, really good when he's in there, but he's not in there consistently. He missed 6 games last year. So if Derek Stingley goes, and you already have the concerns at 2 down on the cornerback depth chart, if Derek Stingley gets hurt like he has every year for the last half decade, then you got real big problems at secondary. Injury concerns, I know I keep hearing that at safety. Jimmy Ward, we don't know if Jalen Petrie can play to the caliber of being a really, really good starting safety. We saw his rookie year. I'm not going to dismiss Jalen Petrie. I heard James Palmer yesterday say that he's underrated. No, he's not underrated anymore, man. Matter of fact, he might have been overrated heading into last offseason, or heading into last season during last offseason. So am I dismissing Jalen Petrie bouncing back? No, but I don't feel great about the safety. So secondary would be there. Linebacker depth, I would say, is another area of concern. So we have secondary and linebacker depth. Low, just based on what D'Amico has said. Running back depth. I think they need two backs that can make plays. I know Joe Mixon is kind of a Joe Mixon is kind of a workhorse back, but he's getting a little bit older. I still think you need another back to help him, but they seem to believe in Dameon Pierce, and then we'll see what these back end guys can do starting really August 1st is when the Hall of Fame game is. You got to think these back end guys are going to have a lot of opportunity to show out, but running back depth is out there. I know a lot of people are saying D-line. There's something that's happened this offseason that has me just kind of trusting what D'Amico Ryans is saying and what the Texans have put around the D-line. And I've watched all of Seth Payne's breakdowns of these, for lack of a better term, WikiLeaks defensive linemen that the Texans are bringing in. And WikiLeaks is basically someone where when the team signs him, you have to go to Wikipedia page and see who the hell is it. Who's that? Wikipedia. Oh, okay. This guy. Oh, okay. Oh, he started this many games. Oh, never really heard of him. Okay. Seth Payne's done a really good job of breaking down these guys. Matter of fact, I'll pull up Seth's channel because he's gone in the sticks. Like this is not like a generic breakdown. Let's see, Seth Payne videos. Look how much in the sticks he got. Look at that mugshot right there. He's broken down. He's done it live. Okay. He's broken down Mario Edwards Jr., McTelvin, Tim Settle, and a bunch of other dudes. So Seth's kind of gotten in the sticks when it comes to breaking down these D linemen. And between his breakdowns, D'Amico Ryans' giddy behavior, and the overall surroundings on the edge at linebacker, safety, all that. I think the D line that's not really an area of my concern anymore. Not even a little bit. I'm not concerned about the Texans D line, even a little bit. John Ryan says, "Man, snorkeling, brother." My concern is the offensive line just hasn't come together yet. Plus the injuries, seems like we can't stay consistently healthy, and that's going to be a problem. That's the other thing about all the optimism. And when you try to talk about weaknesses and concerns, in a perfect world, you would love for your football team to just be perfect and have no flaws. But even the best teams in the NFL, even the teams that win the Super Bowl, they have concerns over the course of a season. So there's going to be concerns. And we don't anticipate the Texans going 17-0 and running the table or anything like that. Kansas City last year, they were struggling on offense. They've won Super Bowls when they had a bad offensive line. You see teams that are going to have weaknesses that maybe you don't see at the start of the season. So when you have all this optimism and you have all this hope with the Texans, we're 3 weeks away from camp now. Can't wait. You take a step back and you say, okay, what do we need to take a closer look at? Let's just look at what we were talking about last year. Last year, we were talking about we were talking about Dameon Pierce. Man, is he going to rush for 1,000 yards? Jalen Petrie, man, this guy's one of the most underrated guys in the league. Those two guys ended up kind of falling off. So let's take a look at this and try to proactively perhaps find maybe like are we too high on Christian Harris already? Like Christian Harris had the end of that season. Is there going to be some struggles for Christian Harris? I don't think so. Are we too high on the edge guys? I don't think so. I think that's as elite as it gets. Are we too high on the receivers? I would say no. Is Joe Mixon going to be able to stay healthy? Is Dameon Pierce going to be able to be a backup? I would say that's a concern. D-line, not concerned. Secondary, concerned. So that's why you look at this, and it all starts with the offensive line. You're going to need the offensive line to be effective, but the concerns for the Texans, there's not a lot. But I think between what we've seen and what the Texans have put out there and told us, I do think that there's some stuff that at least deserves a little bit of attention. It is the Locker Room, number one source for Texans digital content. Be sure to subscribe, like, right along. I was listening to Sean and Seth in the car on the way here. They were talking about one of the bigger controversies in sports. I have a simple question. What the hell was the guy supposed to say? We'll get into that in a second. Also, I compared a local leader to one of the worst coaches in the history of the NFL, definitely one of the worst coaches in Texans history. And I have no shame in my game. I will apologize when it's necessary. I don't know if I owe this guy an apology or not. As a matter of fact, I think I might be owed an apology. We'll get into that in a sec. The Locker Room right here, 10:30 p.m. every night, videos throughout the day. During the season, there's going to be a lot more going on. We're going to be on Reaction Monday for sure at an early time, and we're going to have videos. It'd probably be close to 10-ish, perhaps. But I heard on 610 there was a talk about Nico Collins, and it was, can Nico Collins can he have 1,500 yards this year? And that's one of the ultimate like slow news day type of things. Can Nico Collins have 1,500 yards this year? I mean, what? I know that it's the time of the year where you kind of you try to figure some stuff out, but 1,500 yards. There were 3 guys last year that had 1,500 yards. They were Tyreek Hill, they were CeeDee Lamb, and they were Amon-Ra St. Brown. Puka Nacua and A.J. Brown had over 1,400 respectfully, and they had good seasons. Then you had DJ Moore with 1,300. Ayuk had 1,300. Nico had 1,300. The thing is this, like when you add Stefon Diggs and you have Tank Dell healthy and you have a running game, 1,500 yards, that kind of seems like a lot. And I think the promo, the guy who said it was talking about, I think it was the OG. I think he's actually said, now he doesn't remember all the times like when he says one thing from one day to the next, but I think actually, like, I know he thinks Stefon Diggs is by far and away the top receiver on this squad. So maybe that's changed. It's very possible. But 1,500 yards, it seems like a lot. And let's be honest, 6'10", definitely is one of the it's one of the catalysts for talking points. So I think that's a good talking point to have. I just like some consistency in remembering what you say from day to day on that. 1,500 seems like a lot. Speaking of the Texans offense, we talked about this yesterday when Daniel Jeremiah said that there was a possibility that this could be a top 3 offense, which they've never had a top 3 offense. They've never had a top 5 offense. As a matter of fact, they've been top 10 4 times, and it was all with Gary Kubiak. The last time the Texans were top 10 in points, 2012. The last time that the Texans were top 10 in yards, 2012. Each of those things has happened 4 times, 4 years in a row on the points from 09 to 12, and in the yards, 08, 09, 10, and 12, respectfully. So shout out to Gary Kubiak. But top 3 offense has never happened around here. They got the weapons, but it has definitely never, ever, ever, ever happened around here. So we'll see. We'll see if that happens. We'll see how that goes. The Stefon Diggs trade. Want to touch on this? The Stefon Diggs trade, probably the biggest splash when it comes to a transaction. Definitely a trade around here of the year. It could be being pushed back to that number 2 spot relatively soon. Rockets have been kind of plotting a little bit. They're adding draft picks. They're swapping picks. This was the report from Woj of ESPN yesterday about the Rockets. He says there's implications of the Rockets landing the Suns picks. Houston wants to trade for Kevin Durant, and that becomes far easier if they can return the Suns picks they gave up in the Durant deal to the Nets. Suns have said they're keeping Durant for now, but that could change next season. Very polarizing guy, that Kevin Durant. And there's a lot of Rockets fans who are basically saying, hell no, I want nothing to do with this guy. Screw this guy. I want nothing to do with KD. You're saying the same thing about Russell Westbrook, and then when he came here, what went down? You were pumped. We were questioning Russell Westbrook triple doubles, and all of a sudden he puts on the Rockets uniform. Welcome home, Russ. Welcome home. We're here for you. Thank you very much. If the Rockets can bring Kevin Durant in and keep a large amount of their young talent and have him teach these guys how to work and carry the load in clutch situations and let these guys develop, you got to do it. You got to do it. This young core is going to have to be broken up eventually. There's intriguing pieces, but all 3 of them are not going to mesh. When I'm talking about Şengün, I'm talking about Green, I'm talking about Thompson. I think they like Thompson too. If you can get Kevin Durant here and you can get that star power and you can get to a point where you like your young guys, but you're in play to churn the roster like a lot of good NBA teams do and make splashes, you got to do it. You got to do it. So the Stefon Diggs trade for right now, biggest splash that has been made by a Houston squad. That could change very, 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 very quickly. And if I'm Rafael Stone, and if I'm Ime Udoka, who might be calling the shots a little bit more, I would definitely make that move, get that done. Why am I showing David Culley? Why do y'all think I'm showing David Culley right now? What the hell? Am I trying to give y'all nightmares? No, I'm not. I'm showing David Culley because earlier this year, yours truly compared Astros manager Joe Espada, who has his ball club in a really good spot. Right now, the Astros are 1 game away from being 500. They're very much in the mix for the division. They're very much in the mix for the wild card. Right now, Joe Espada is looking pretty good. Should Joe Espada be getting an apology from your boy for being compared to David Culley? I think it's a fair question. Should Joe Espada get an apology for being compared to David Culley? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. And this is my reason why I'm not apologizing to Joe Espada. Because the Astros were treating him like David Culley. The Astros were treating Joe Espada like David Culley. I remember when I was at a press conference where Jack Easterby, the POS, walked in with David Culley, basically pushed him to the podium, and sat back there and watched his every single word. David Culley was not making decisions when it came to time management. David Culley was not making personnel decisions. And David Culley had to go up there and look like a fool. Same thing was happening with Joe Espada with the Jose Abreu situation. And there were also some serious brain farts from Joe Espada. Remember the New England clock management gaffe that was that happened when David Culley couldn't even recall what was going on. Joe Espada's done that a couple of times. There's been a couple of times where there's been base running blunders, and Joe Espada will go up there and go, "Oh, I got to talk to him and figure out. I got to figure out what was going on." So they were treating him like David Culley. Furthermore, I don't know how much. And some people say, "Well, you give him the blame when they lose, and you don't give him the credit when they win." No, I don't give him the blame. I mean, you can win baseball games with bad managers. You can also lose because of some decisions, but you also you can have bad luck, you can have injuries and a bad manager. It doesn't have to be either or. I think sometimes in sports we get in a situation where we power rank reasons and stuff, and it's okay, Davis Mills sucks, his offensive coordinator sucks, the coaching sucks, and the talent might suck. It can all be terrible. That doesn't mean that you run it back with Davis Mills. There have been a lot of teams in sports that have had multiple problems, and that's possible. So should Joe Espada get an apology for being compared to David Culley? The answer is hell no. But the Astros are playing some ball, and the Astros, they're very, 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 very much alive. It is the Locker Room, number one source for Texans digital content. Slow news day, slow time of the year. I'll get to some questions, and then I'm going to get to one of these controversies that I think I'm kind of confused about, but I want to know what y'all have to say about it. I know it's gotten a lot of run. We'll touch on it in a sec. John Ryan says Jalen Petrie can play. I don't disagree that he can play. Can he play starting safety? Can he be a really, really good starting safety? I think that's a question. Deflect, don't grandstand at the press conference. We'll get to that in a second. What do you think about the Rockets draft trades? I think they need to trade for Kevin Durant. No doubt. Back in action. I never left. 10:30 p.m. is when the stream is. The videos go on throughout. Right now is the slow news day. So we'll be 100% balls to the wall when the season starts. Been doing the digital thing every day. But look, it's a slow news day. Get to cruise a little bit. I'm not on standby. I don't have to wait for a 1 hour window of preparing the show and stuff. I can come on here and stuff, pause. But yeah, it's going to intensify. I'll be back in action in more ways than one. So be ready to go there when it comes to that. But the daily content does not stop. And the side hustle is not going to overtake what the main thing is. Which is would I trade Şengün for KD? Yes. I mean, that's yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even hesitate if that's what it takes. Yeah. Bye. This has gotten a lot of run. I actually posed the question on Twitter, and I'll pull that up first because I found some of the responses interesting. The new coach at the University of Texas, who I don't even know if everyone even knew who the hell he was before this little press conference. He said something interesting, and these were some of the responses that I got from what he had to say. My simple question was, what should Jim S have said? What should he have said in his press conference? Kim Davis, shout out to Kimmy. She said nothing. And if he couldn't pull that off, he certainly shouldn't have given that fake ass emotion ending with "now write that." I agree. I thought that was a weird way to respond to it. Big JJ says he should have said no comment. So go up to the podium and say no comment. Okay. Steven says tiptoe around it and tell everyone you'll talk about a letter date rather than what he said. Okay. Tyler McBride, if you're going to dodge the question that needed to be asked, by the way, the appropriate answer would be to say that tonight was about his guys and the work, the effort they put in later. Instead, he gave a me answer for you. That's fair. Running man, there was nothing he could have said, to be honest. Appropriate was to not negotiate a deal to leave during the College World Series. Appropriate was UT to announce Pierce firing weeks ago, blah, blah, blah. I don't know about that. So UT is supposed to wait for A&M, and A&M is supposed to, and he's supposed to just sit there and tiptoe around at a major university where he's probably going to be one of the highest paid coaches in the thing. This is dumb to me. Not negotiate a deal to leave during the College World Series. Okay, so do you just wait and put that on standby? What if they move on? What if he wants the job? UT announced the Pierce firing weeks ago. What if they didn't have a replacement yet and they didn't know they were going to do it? Shall I go on? No, I think you've said enough silliness. Shout out to you, though, my friend. I'm proud of this team and their fight, but no, unreal. Did he leave his fam to go to HTX too? I don't know what the hell that meant, the family thing. I understand there's a rumor out there about my future, but we're here to discuss Aggie baseball, the great young men on this team, and their accomplishments this season. I think that's fair. That question isn't important right now. We just played a heartbreaking game, blah, blah, blah. Definitely not putting the reporter on a pedestal. I think that's fair. Texan Aggie. Mark Barrett, nothing, but he needed to say something. He should have just told the truth. Yes, I am leaving. Okay. I'm leaving Hookham. I'm a lying coward. Tom Herman answer. Come on, podium critic, you're better than this. I'm just trying to ask the question. I'm just trying to embrace debate here. Let's look at what my man said and just kind of react to this, because I'm actually kind of intrigued by it. I might try to be this man's lawyer.
Coach, with respect.
Notice how that's kind of orange down there, though. Like he was kind of telling you, look at that sign right there. That's orange, brother. That's burnt orange. He was telling you, man. He was telling. Look at that. That we should. The answer was right there. That burnt orange right there. Let's hear what my man had to say, though. Go ahead, Coach.
To the difficult outcome tonight, but with the rumors circulating today about a specific job opening, what do you have to say about your future in Aggieland?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty selfish of you to ask me that question, to be honest with you. But I left my family to be the coach at Texas A&M. I took the job at Texas A&M to never take another job.
It's not selfish. Let's just be serious. It's not selfish at all.
Job again.
He took the A&M job to not take another job again. He's not lying. That's what he did. He's talking about what he did. He's not talking about what he's going to do. He said that's what he did. I took it. Let's hear it one more time. Go ahead. Not selfish again.
Coach at Texas A&M. I took the job at Texas A&M to never take another job again.
Yeah, he did. He said did. He didn't say is. He said did. Okay.
And that hasn't changed in my mind. That's unfair to talk about something like that. That'd be like you asking Montgomery if he's going to sign in the draft. But
I think that's a good question. I think you should ask Montgomery if he's going to sign in the draft. I actually think that's perfect.
I understand you got to ask the question, but I gave up a big part of my life to come take this job, and I've poured every ounce of my soul.
See, past tense again, past tense.
Soul in this job, and I've given this job every single ounce I can possibly give it. So write that.
Coach, thank you very much.
There he goes, walk off. Oh, that was good. Oh, that was good. But he was past tense, right? He didn't say I'm staying at A&M. He said what he did. I mean, let's actually listen to what my man says. He's getting railroaded. Funniest thing about this, though, and this is obviously a football podcast, and I agree. I agree that he did too much. I don't disagree with that at all. I don't disagree. But he was past tense there. He said he originally went to A&M, not as a stepping stone. He went there to never take another job. That was past tense. He went up there. He got ticked off. Was it a little bit extra? Yeah. My man just lost the championship. Like, that's the beauty of like the post-game press conference. Like, my man just lost the damn championship. Was he supposed to be thrilled? Was he supposed to go up there and do his thing? But the funniest thing about this is that who cares? Like, how many people really watch college baseball during the season? Like, that's That's always the funniest thing. Like, I remember when you used to have friends, like I'm sure a lot of y'all have friends who go to Baylor, and for like a 2-week stretch, they're the biggest women's basketball fans in the world. Then you're watching Texas A&M or Texas, and all of a sudden, like, college baseball is everything when it's not even in the rotation. Like, you're watching Seinfeld or Office reruns on a Saturday instead of college baseball. That's the most amusing thing for me. Like, this just made me, when I saw this, I'm like, okay, Texas A&M rivalry. Okay, well, what's that going to be like in football? And what's that going to be like in basketball? I've been to the College World Series. I went when Texas lost, Houston Street and them lost to Suzuki and stuff. But I mean, as far as like anger and passion, let's be serious. 99% of the people crying about this, y'all weren't even watching college baseball. Half y'all didn't even know who the hell this guy was. I mean, it's healthy, but it all just circles to football. I think we're about 10 weeks away. We're less than 10 weeks away from the start of football. That's going to be a lot of fun. Are the Texans getting too much hype? Check out that video from yesterday. Is the offensive line, do you still have trust issues with the offensive line? We'll wrap it up here. Elsewhere in the AFC South, the Jags, they're going to get a $1.4 billion stadium renovation. It's been an interesting offseason for the Jags. They made Trevor Lawrence one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the history of the NFL, and they finally got that stadium upgrade they've been begging for. I almost feel like they're using London to get this. There was times where we were wondering, man, are they going to just move to London permanently? It's one game, then it's 2 games, and now they got that $1.4 billion stadium renovation, which makes you wonder, is NRG, when is NRG going to get upgraded? I know they're hosting big events. It's really nice. The Astrodome, though, kind of in the way. But when is this going to happen for the Texans? There's some pretty good stadiums around here. When is this going to happen for the Texans? But the Jags, all that London stuff, all that Trevor Lawrence, all that. Yeah, good job for them. We'll see how that goes. Appreciate everyone for coming through. Jagoffs, goodness gracious, Houston Texans. Shout out to you, my friend. One of the better aggregators and agitators at times, I will say. Houston Texans. But yeah, the locker room, 10:30 nightly. It's going to increase during the week. Just wait till camp starts. We'll have some announcements. But when you YOLO with the fam, sometimes you just move it to 10. The Reaction Mondays, though, they will be earlier. And we got a lot of features and stuff that are going down. By we, I mean me and Cody Stute. So there's going to be a lot going on. Appreciate all you folks for rolling through. Amy, you found the channel. Thank you very much. You're subscribed. I appreciate you. I think we're almost 10K deep. Been able to do this for less than 2 years and done it daily, quite frankly. I think we're like 900 videos in 22 months. September. Like since the channel started, it was the day before Lovie Smith's debut. Now, I did delete a few because before it got to the monetized level, there was a lot of F-bombs, and it's just kind of, y'all know how I talk and stuff. There is some crow that can definitely be eaten, though, if you go back and look at those videos. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Yeah, the 10K thing, I don't really like start the countdown, but I want to get there for sure. Also got some sponsors jumping on. It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be fun covering this squad. Always been fun. This is not like some startup. This has been going for a couple years now, and the digital game's increasing. The Texans' energy is increasing, and there's a lot going on. Let me know if you feel good about the O-line. Appreciate everyone for coming through. It's only going to get a lot more fun. Just wait till camp starts. The locker room gonna be crazy. I promise. Shout out to you. We're all in this together. Have a good one.
The anger's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localized every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days. Opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up, we number one. You don't need need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too.